Lulu definitely, as you said, is a very high priority for the bottom lane right now. As far as the supports are going, usually traded for Karma. But we'll have to take a look first at the ban phase. Top lane already getting targeted out, and they want to whittle down Zig once again. This guy is just consistently receiving so many bans from the enemy team.
We've seen a lot of Gragas love lately too, which can be flexed. We've seen into that top lane. Some days played that a few times, but also the junglers taking that quite a bit here. Could see Zig on something like that to make a hit in the game. Olleh being banned out off Meteos, and there is Cody Sun's Caitlyn.
Yeah, Cody Sun's Caitlyn. So now the Ezreal even higher in priority in this series. Meanwhile, though, I'm still thinking about this top lane, because as far as Zig, you know, taking advantage and having counter picks, Flame has played a ton of tanks. His last 3 were on Nautilus. He does have a lot of Rumble games in there as well, but we haven't seen him, you know, quite go back to a lot of that DPS in the top lane. And I do expect him to go for more of a tank role and try and round it out. You know, kind of allowing Dardoch to do his thing in the early game. Elise actually there finds her way into the ban phase specifically against Meteos, who has been going for his comfort pick. So 2 of the comfort picks for Meteos off the table. He still has his reliable Zac, though, I guess.
We've seen it.
They want to do that.
We have seen it. So it's a Nautilus lock-in to start things off, actually, for P1 with so much left on the board.
And as I said, that is something that Flame has gone to over and over recently. So it's a takeaway pick here for Zig. Instead of letting him have that and go for the counter pick, Nautilus right now is the king of the tanks there after the nerfs to Maokai. Definitely can shove you in early as well. But again, traded over for that rise in priority of 80 carries we talked about.
And say you take, then we take. Arrow will not get the Ezreal. And rengar for Dardoch to start things off this game. Hopefully he can go aggressive. We did see him actually pushed all the way down onto a Lee Sin match yesterday, which he actually played very well on with the team behind him. And that Lulu does get locked in, expecting to see that in that first rotation. Meteos locks that in for Stunt. So we know that that Nautilus is going top, nothing crazy.
Yeah, definitely true. It's still a flexible pick. Yeah, you're right. We always got to keep that in mind. Honestly, though, let's see. 80 carry role could be answered. I guess as far as those 3 comfort picks we listed off, they have an option of trying to grab one of those for Meteos because he's been targeted already, and there we go.
Things change a little bit when you have a Zac in the game. Some warding, also realizing the range of the gank you're going to be receiving here. So IMT, change of thought.
There is a lot of crowd control on the Phoenix1 side already. And with the 80 carries also being whittled down a little bit, I actually would expect Immortals, you know, maybe even to follow the second round bans up with an Ashe and a Varus maybe to really pinch down onto Arrow's champion pool next, as Phoenix1 decided to grab Meteos, his Zac, in the first round instead of matching roles.
10 seconds for that first ban phase 2. Well, it's taking their time here. I'm going to choose Ashe.
Yep, exactly what I said. Ashe and probably Varus maybe to follow that up. As far as willing back down on the 80 carry champion pool there for Arrow in the bottom lane. Do what Phoenix1 rounded out with here, though, because as they have a lot of crowd control, they need a lot of damage here in the back lines to back it up. Lulu definitely helps out with attack speed boost.
I'm a little sad they banned the cog. I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it is the newer Varus, so definitely did receive some nerfs. I think people are still comfortable with going with the little bit newer version of the build with the Hurricane and Infinity Edge, though. We'll see if Arrow actually does like that build or not.
Final ban here for Phoenix1. They do target that mid lane. Not an Orianna. It's actually going to be a Syndra, which gives Pobelter a bit of a chance to ball situation here for Dardoch, if they choose so. And another shield coming in from Cody Sun for Flame on Shen.
The old Shen rengar combo for the deep diving with a little bit of extra safety for that assassin. If Dardoch, you know, does go for a lot of these super aggressive plays we've been seeing from him, this is one of his most comfortable champions, the rengar. He really likes to try and snowball, and now he may have his good old buddy Flame in the top lane to be able to join him.
Still waiting for one more. Mid lane Ryu and that Jayce. Let's see what the AD carry comes in as.
Talking about DPS from the
Unless
back
they do
line.
crazy stuff,
Definitely
Kobe.
gonna be there. Yeah, I mean, technically still flexible around, but I think you're right with your initial call there, Riv. Probably gonna be the Ryu.
Getting late in the season, pulling out all the cards. Oh, do we get to see a Kalista now with 7.5? We do. Locked in arrow gets pushed back, and he's gonna bring out the Kalista, even with the Varus open.
Yeah, it's interesting because seeing the Jayce and Kalista, you think a little bit more early game oriented, but you know, Lulu does provide some extra attack speed scaling there for you as you're getting further into the game. And Zac is actually one of the tanks that scales pretty well too. So Phoenix1, you know, they don't have to worry too much about later in the game, but they definitely do have a lot of options for earlier as far as the high-powered starts. Kalista doesn't need to wait on a whole bunch of multiplying crit item builds. Can get right in there. New Blade of the Rune King's very nice. Hurricane's always very good for her. We'll see what Pobelter can do with the Assassin, trying to match Ryu here.
I think they have enough shields with the Karma, the Shen. Instead of the Orianna, they put in the Ahri for Pobelter. A little more carry potential there for himself. See what he can do up against Ryu in the mid lane. Slippery AD carries, hard to catch for these junglers, but the junglers also having pretty much unhindered initiations here. Once they get their ultimates, they can slingshot in on side of Meteos, Dardoch in, so I think we're going to see some pretty awesome fights coming into this game.
Definitely is interesting because Immortals with a very clear strategy here in the picks and bans. You know, they double ban Meteos on his comfort champions to try and punish this smaller pool that we've seen. And the thing with Zac is, yeah, he does, you know, scale pretty nicely once you get some cooldown reduction and a lot of the items coming in. However, rengar can take advantage of him early. Zac does like I believe that graphic is wrong, by the way, because I'm looking at Meteos' face, and that is not Inori on Zac, by the way.
The beard is just too
Unless
powerful.
he takes off the Meteos mask right now.
There it goes. It's just Mission Impossible. So it is going to be Meteos on Zac as we head in. Hashtag P1 win. Hashtag IMT win as we get in onto the Rift. We are going to see who can move up in the standings. Like we said, if P1 can continue the top of the rest of these teams on their list, Immortals, C9, TSM does not look easy. They will be in a very good spot.
Yeah, this is a very crucial game for both these teams in a little bit different ways. They have different goals here. Phoenix1 are actually eyes straight to the top. They want to grab the buy from Cloud9, who, you know, gave them an opening with a couple of recent losses. So Phoenix1, they're shooting for the stars right now, trying to get a playoff buy, whereas Immortals are trying to get into the playoffs, and they are also kind of at that cusp. One of those teams really trying to get into there in the last couple spots that everyone's heavily fighting for. So they would definitely love a victory here against one of the favored teams. And again, the junglers that you mentioned, Dardoch here on one of his favorite champions, Meteos on one of his. Definitely early game advantage can go to rengar. We've seen a lot of rengar invades recently. We'll see if he gets any help on the Raptors, though. The recent nerfs that we are on 7.5 did hurt him decently as far as how much damage he's going to take early. Armor reduction, as well as less health gained back from his W on the camps. Pobelter could, on Ahri, go over and give him one of those orbs to try and AoE down the full camp. That helps a lot. And it looks like there won't be an invade to stop him, but maybe there will be an invade here on the Phoenix1 side. Meteos is starting top, so they won't find a jungler. The faking invade down there.
That's pretty nice. Pobelter making sure he actually gets the return orb through for a little bit more damage.
Yeah.
I do know that Dardoch's top.
It's super nice for rengar, especially after those nerfs, to get a help on those Raptors.
Yeah.
And nobody takes any of them, so he's able to get the full experience as well. This is actually setting him up quite nicely to go for an invade. As I said, Zac early on can get very low in the jungler. Usually Zac doesn't worry about it too much because it's actually more efficient than you heal off your blobs, as their current health is the cost. However, if someone invades you, especially an assassin, then it does become a problem. At the moment, though, just going standard route there for Meteos, and I do expect him to just go for the clear, trying to level up. A little bit more points in the slingshot can give you a lot more impact in your gank.
Bot lane Actually doing a very good job at making sure the minions do not get pushed as Olleh hovers around the wave. Brush control for him as Dardoch starts to head in for a bit of river control.
Yeah, pretty slick ward right here that Ryu just placed on his Jayce. He got a little bit of control of mid lane, drops down, places this ward. And so they have full vision of Dardoch coming for the invade. Thing is, it is a bit predictable of an invade, especially since yesterday Dardoch was the one who got hit by it. And yes, we've seen it quite a few times that you can cancel the blast cones with your Q. Meteos knows he's in there, but see what they can do about it. Pretty big collapse onto Dardoch. A bit too predictable, maybe.
It was a good call from Immortals to let Dardoch know. Did they give him enough time, though? The auto attack from Arrow, and he cannot get out. Flash down as well.
Yeah, jungle is the area you really cannot be predictable. And you could tell that Phoenix1 also saw their games yesterday. The early ward there, they're expecting this invade. It is a rengar favored early matchup, and Dardoch walks right into it. Good collapse from Phoenix1 though to get that first blood for themselves. Meteos also up to that level 4, so Zach started scaling already, trying to take down the Krugs. He just wants to farm away for a little bit longer, and Zig, he's got other ideas about mid lane.
Looks like they may try to throw this flash. He flashes in to make sure they get it. A trade for success in Ryu. So Zig being very nice to Ryu in the mid lane. Actually taking a few tower shots for his trouble as well.
Yeah, before that, maybe there was an option of him walking back up. Now he's definitely going to go back to base. But again, here's another look at this invade. As soon as the lanes start collapsing, Dardoch says, oh, I got to get out of here. But it is just too late. That was very well done there by Phoenix1.
This red buff, not too bad for Arrow.
Oh yeah.
He'll be very happy with that. You can see already rending immediately to get Cody Sun a little trouble in lane, slow him down, make sure the auto attacks of Stunt can count more, and now they continue to push him back with this red buff. So many little things playing in favor of them after they kept getting pushed in by Olleh. It's got to feel good.
Oh yeah, plus later in the game, they feel even more comfortable. I mean, early on, you got to be scared of Rengar, especially with the first uses of his ultimate. But now that Dardoch is behind, dying there on that invade, I mean, later on, Arrow gets to rely on the Kalista ultimate to save Stunt, whereas Stunt can use his ultimate to save Arrow, and there's a lot of defenses against the all-in. Here goes a repeat, though. Some Meteos coming in.
Bit of a whoopsie, but with no flash, you can afford to make a few of those. Pobelter is going to go ahead and just try to make this last a little bit longer. They work on that flash being down, and they may just come back very soon. Yep,
Meteos, the slick Zach play right around through his pink ward, goes up through the fog of war on the top side, gets behind the flashless mid laner. But the reason Pobelter didn't have flash is because Zig traded his.
Yeah.
And Dardoch is trying to punish the top laner who doesn't have flash. He's definitely more tanky. That would be more difficult to punish Zig. Could happen though, as the lane is pushing away from his turret, and Meteos is on a ward.
Does come out of this quite healthy, but once they see him go down, it may activate Dardoch. He's slowly waiting. Riptide goes out. Would actually be a nice time to go in for that chase. Doesn't have the flash, and he actually can't get around minions enough to get Dredgeline to the wall. He's going to go down for his troubles here. Great job by Dardoch and Flame to work on that flash being down the top side.
Yep, patience does pay off there, and they are able to punish both players for the mid lane play where flashes were traded. I have to say, as Zig, when Flame is getting so low like that, you kind of expect that there's a jungler there, right? Because Flame was getting super aggressive when he was against the big minion wave and he was fairly low health. But not going to read that, not going to back off, and they do award a kill going over to Immortals here. Dardoch maybe back on track. Now he's level 6 and he can go for that level 6 Rengar gank. See what he can actually do with it, what lane he'll try and punish. Currently, the bottom lane for Phoenix1 don't have their ultimates yet to try and defend against that, but they'll get them quickly. It looks like Dardoch is going straight for the bottom side, though, to try and get them before they have the ult.
Ooh, push them back right into it, to the skies for Ryu here. Make it count! Not gonna happen. Almost takes down Pobelter immediately. We do see that gank going down to the bot lane. Not too much low HP bars on the left side. Lets us know not too severe. But Pobelter is having trouble in that mid lane right now.
Yeah, Dardoch actually did end up using his ultimate there as well. But a good back off from Phoenix1. They were able to blow just the heal and flash off of Stunt for the defensive purposes there to evade the Rengar ulti. Now there is a summoner advantage for Immortals in the bottom lane, but let's take another look at how it happened. Obviously, the Phoenix1 squad know that this is their bit of vulnerable state. They don't have their ults yet, but able to get away.
That was quite a bit of damage if they were able to hit it.
Good.
Nice roam by Olleh coming up. Quick resolve on to Ryu, locks him down. They pick up another kill. Dardoch getting another kill to get in this one.
Yeah, not sitting on their laurels here for Immortals bottom lane. You know, they take their small advantage of forcing the Phoenix1 bottom lane back, and really good roam here from Olleh. Comes in, still has his ignite to take down Ryu, and Ryu doesn't even bother flashing since he was already cornered and dead.
Both teams keeping up with some pretty nice fundamentals. Flash is down, work the flash. P1 was really the first one to come out of the gates. Immortals able to answer back, really just evening up the game. It looks like it's 0-0 on the top side.
Yeah.
And it's 2-2 and even goal.
Feels like both teams are playing way better offense than they are defense right now. As a lot of the moves are actually working out rather than being disengaged. Now, the Phoenix1 bottom lane both have their level 6s though, so they'll be a lot more confident. And we'll see Dardoch probably turn his attention towards other lanes. Just made another visit towards that top side, but Zig is safe at home.
Cutlass in, damaging and chilling for Dardoch. He's going to be trying to go for more kills immediately and control this game. A little bit of a tank for Meteos, as we would expect. First recipe items here able to be purchased is level 6 around the maps. Start to spice things up. Coming up on 10 minutes now. 83 to 78 in this bot lane. Seems like it's just been going back and forth without too much aggression other than Dardoch's last hit. Didn't even seem like Cody Sun and Olleh could really go in on that with how much safety Arrow and Stunt have in this lane.
Yep, and a lot more here for Arrow. He's going for the Blade of the Rune King first build, which definitely is good for the single target uses and you're staying in lane. Also, don't underestimate the Cutlass active and chasing people down. Right now, though, Dardoch back to the bottom side actually uses his ult, and Stunt can get ulted away.
Over the wall, saving one of the hits, throws Arrow back in, gonna wild go from that. We were waiting for this combination. I might have just cast or cursed him. As I said, they may not be able to go down with the combo they have. They do stick Dardoch in for an extended period of time. Red buff trade to Meteos. But perseverance for Immortals there. Yeah, while it is the 2-for-1 for Immortals, they did bring Flame down to the bottom side, who already had to use his teleport, so he can't get back top for those minions. And Meteos is just trying to stop his back to delay, so he can't get to these minions that Zig is pushing into the turret. Exactly right here. And a lot of money gonna go to waste as far as the cost of that play down bottom. Meteos is gonna hope that the cost does not involve their bottom turret as well. Great job by Zig denying Pobelter the roam top for any of those minions. Catches him halfway through. He'll be able to also protect Ryu if he finds anything mid. We'll see this one more time on the bot side, a little separated for P1. Yeah, and Immortals are covering both bases here because they're expecting Arrow to use the ult to try and save. Dardoch comes around the edge here. Flame got the taunt off right before the knock up there, so he's able to get in. Dardoch does go for the dive on Stunt, which is able to secure, definitely at the cost of his own life. I feel like it bought more time for the rest of the squad to get out afterwards. Though, as of the replay, all of Phoenix1 have decided to go grab. That's great. Lots of extra objective control with the Kalista. We do have to remember that if P1 is first to the Dragon, they're probably going to be able to grab it, as well as sneaking possible Barons throughout the game. All 4 of the Immortals kills are on Dardoch as well. So a lot of the money here focused on the Assassin, and that is an interesting scenario because, well, actually mid lane more interesting. Oh, it's the Charm Exhaust is down. Nicely timed as well. Ryu stays alive as they try one more time for that mid lane. Ryu still has himself in trouble. The Ignite goes down, flash hit. He should stay alive as he chugged the potion there, and it's now going to be on to Pobelter. Does Meteos pick himself up another kill as he comes in at the end of a team fight? He'll have to work on the timing, but he is coming up with good results. He's cornered! He might pick up another one on Dardoch. Does Meteos give this one over to Arrow? I don't think they have a choice. They're going to have to do a full chase on this one. Meteos, the slingshot is going to be a zoner, and that's the Q coming in from Arrow. Nicely done.
Oof, a lot of the counter engages here working out for Phoenix1. Teleport coming in behind the bottom lane, though.
Oh, does it ever end? Cody Sun's gonna get hit, waits for the depth charge to hit him, tries to then arcane shift. There's just too much CC, and death follows.
Ryu with a decent amount of alone time here, pushes the wave in. Should be able to get off his recall. Man, and that dive mid lane. Maybe Pobelter, I think maybe there was some, well, never mind. Let's watch this turret go down. Olleh is in the area, but there's not much he can do here. Throughout the optimistic queue. Watch the turret die.
I was wondering when something was going to happen. I was like, these all these kills, but things are still quite slow, quite even. Now we start taking turrets. They're going to be able to go through the jungle, make sure these wards equal more kills, and Meteos may have some more grandiose engagements from across the map now. A little bit of roam from Pobelter, but so many wards here placed from P1 for their bot control.
Yeah, it's looking like a very good game for Meteos here, and really just speaks again to their strategy of getting him his comfort picks. They haven't tried to mold to the meta of junglers right now at all. He's just like the junglers he's known for, his favorite ones that we've seen him play over and over, the Elise, the Zac, the Olaf, right back to those.
Yeah.
And they spend an early round pick on the Zac, even though it has weaknesses in the early game. They're very well aware of these weaknesses, and that's what leads to them, you know, warding for the invade of the expected rengar move towards his red buff, you know, that we've actually even seen just yesterday. So very common and fairly expected, and they're able to make that counter move. Then he's also got a lot of counter ganks towards the mid lane and towards the bottom lane after aggressive Immortals plays. And now he's scaling up very nicely, because if you get your Ninja Tabby early, that's a really nice baseline for armored defenses, and you can go into Spirit Visage, which is one of Zac's favorite items. Really, let's take a look at this though. Found me a ninja.
Nicely done.
Anyways, the Spirit Vision is so good for Zac because you get cooldown reduction with him, which is one of his favorite stats. Plus, obviously, the extra healing works perfectly with his kit.
Feels good. It's probably one of my favorite items in League, if I had to say.
Yeah.
Maybe I should play Zac.
It's one of those ones with a lot of value that doesn't have an active, so you don't have to worry about remembering to use that to get the full value out. Zig's gonna do some Spider-Man moves here, get away on the bottom side as they trade turrets.
As a support, you find yourself playing piano with your actives as you go in, so that's why it's nice. P1 now pushing the top side pretty hard. Zig's able to easily stop Cody Sun and Olleh on the bot, and they may be able to just power through this one. It's like they will back off, not knowing when Pobelter left the lane, and also having Dardoch able to zero somebody out.
Yeah. Inferno Drake for Phoenix1. They're feeling pretty good about themselves these last few trades. Now, their vision has been cleared out a bit. They haven't had too bad a vision, but just recently they lost a lot of their bottom side wards and all their control wards on the top side, so they'll need to travel in packs when they go try and get that back. 1 minute and 27 seconds left on the next Drake, so they have a bit of time to work with it. But neither of these teams really are in a situation where they want to, you know, hand over objectives without any sort of confrontation. So I do expect Phoenix1 to get some more vision shifted down to that dragon side in the next 30 seconds or so. He's still taking his toll on the mid turret here. Jayce so good at that.
Yeah, I wonder how much they're going to try to bait this one in. It was Stunt and Arrow just on the back. So like you said, forward vision has been cleared, so they don't know how risky they can be at this point. 42 seconds on Cloud Drake. They'll regain this bot side control. No, they won't have that shrine vision.
Yeah, you know, we always talk about preparation, and this is such a good example of that. 30 seconds left. They send their top laner with teleport back to the top lane. Zig is taking care of these minions. He's ready to teleport in if there is confrontation. They already have a very nice gold lead, plus the Inferno Drake to work with, so they're super confident in their team fighting skills. Not to mention, Kalista, the added damage you can do with Rend onto the objective means you have a lot of security. If it even came down to a smite fight, they'd feel secure in that as well. So Phoenix1 holding a lot of the cards here for the mid-game. If they could get this mid turret down before, that would be a huge bonus, but it's not necessary for them to start off the Drake. See if Immortals actually fall into this, because If they did, it would be a hopeful pick, I think. I don't think they want to run head-on 5v5 into the double tank lineup.
Thing is, Immortals has so much more to lose. If they do lose the fight, Dragon, that mid turret will fall.
Oh, they're going here.
Everybody piles in the backside of the pit. Smite Ren goes over to Arrow. Damage to Pobelter. A hit comes in for Meteos. Bounces right on top as the party starts. And now it looks like Zig's trying to help the back line. Arrow over the wall. Arrow fired from back behind the Dragon Pit. Its Flame is next to go down. And somehow all of P1 kites around, hops out of the pit, and clears 3 members of Immortal and the Dragon.
Actually, such good uses of the terrain there for Phoenix1. With everybody having their flashes available, each member of the backline from Phoenix1 gets DPS down to about 100 health, then flashes over the backside. Arrow actually still in there. What? Woo!
I don't know if that's what he wanted to do. Meteos again, just a tad late on the fight. Red buff burn, but shield comes in. A quick help from Olleh, saves himself. And that mid turret does go down, so they do get that result as well. And pick up a little bit of extra gold in their pocket.
Meteos, the KDA king, back on his champion. Zach here, 306, flying in to clean up the kills.
A little sooner, though. He's like, oh, look, I can last hit that. I should go now. But obviously, he's just trying to get that jungle control, come back in, and I'm sure the team's not too worried about him picking up the kills.
Definitely nice to have a super beefy front line, and that's one of the reasons why I was so cautious about Immortals going for that Drake. I was a little bit surprised that they actually decided to pull the trigger and fight there, considering the lead that Phoenix1 had. But good usage there by Phoenix1 to have all their carries use the terrain to their advantage, jumping out the backside after they got low, and the tanks were very happy to sit in there and get out their DPS. At this stage in the game, by the way, Zach and Nautilus still do, very respectable damage, especially if it's a long fight in that pit where there's burning you down slowly with their rotation of skills, as well as the Sunfire and Cinderhulk burn. Dardoch going to find Meteos here on his red. Will he go for the smites? He's got vision. Too slow, though. Meteos getting it out. Haha.
Dodge a taunt as well. His fancy feet over here. Nicely done. The Baron will be up. I'm not sure we do have the damage for that just yet. Oh, onto Pobelter. Should be quite all right. They got the double knockup Wild Growth as soon as Let's Bounce was just about to end. Anchor toss onto Olleh. You think you're safe, but P1 just keeps coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, they're really working off. They're spiking here from Phoenix1. Pretty good snowball going ahead. Yeah, we should be able to get one of these. The side lanes are both pushing, so there's always an option to transition into a side lane. They do have a decent amount of gold for themselves in inventory that they could go purchase with, and they don't have to stick around and go try and meet up with one of these side minion waves. Wow, they're actually turning directly to Baron. Control ward's down, and actually burning through it very quickly.
I guess with that Kalista, they are able to do quite a bit of damage, pull in another fight if they want it. A little split on this, but Meteos isn't going down right away, so they have the chance to just kind of walk Immortals around, figure out the fight they do want to take. Depth charge onto Dardoch. The follow's going to be there through the gate, and they are going to get him down. That's Ryu's kill coming through. And the extended chases in favor of P1 now do not spell good things for Immortals.
And one of the reasons Phoenix1 go for that and immediately pull off to get the kill is because those side waves, they didn't have to go to them. Now, Pobelter's trying to tend to the top one, and they return to this control ward on the Baron. Now back to business as usual. No smite for Immortals available.
Exactly. Even though it wasn't even a 50-50 with the Rend on one side, much more a 90-10. You're looking for a Mystic shot over the wall. Cody Sun's actually going to put himself on the bot side. Possibly Olleh a Q in. Hits the inner flame, but it's not going to go off. Rend over to P1. And they do take down Ryu. How does P1 answer this fight? Over to Cody Sun. They don't get the Fate's Call onto Cody, but a few more shots. Thunderlords knocks him down. And now they're going to be onto Pobelter. Meteos just out of range. He gets charmed up, and the Kiss of Death does not come through for Pobelter. Should be able to walk this one out. Mid lane getting pushed up by Arrow.
Ooh, direct hit. Battleship sunk.
It's very hard to get away from this team. One thing I really didn't take into consideration was P1's ability to keep up in fights. And they just gate, they jump, and they keep running forward with Whimsy speed. Or I should say polymorph.
Pretty pretty good stranglehold Phoenix1 have on this game at the moment. Baron buff gonna really empower the side pushes, and the outer turrets probably won't last long. Yep. Immortals have a lot of vision on the map, but they don't have a lot of combat power in their inventory at this point. Not to mention the 10,000 gold lead here of Phoenix1 at 22 minutes, but they also have the Infernal Drake on top of it, you know, boosting up the Jayce. Whew. Jayce mostly. Actually, this is not one of the teams that benefits tremendously from that Infernal Drake. It's mostly just Ryu, as Arrow does have a decent amount of attack damage, but a lot of attack speed as well. And most of the other fellows are tanks.
Only going to make things harder for Immortals that P1 is so far ahead. The Quicksilver Sash now coming in, giving the bot lane of a Wild Growth and a Fate's Call even more options to get out of a taunt or an charged up Bola, charm. Yeah. A lot of things to lock him down. Split lane here, 3-1, as Ryu pulls a little aggression here from Immortals, but the rest of the team will also join Ryu, so we gather on the bot side for another fight. Very dangerous for Immortals to be around this turret. Mid lane getting pushed by Arrow right now, and Immortals just getting pulled every which way.
Here they go! Good flash from
Very
Arrow.
nice flash over the wall. Actually pulls the Stand United in. Meteos with a quick slingshot over the wall. Stunt gets the Fate Call in. Wild Growths himself, thinking it's going to be a little too dangerous. And it looks like P1 back and forth can't find the kills, but they are definitely scattering Immortals.
Yeah, and the lanes are pushing once again.
Yep.
So right after all this disengage from Phoenix1, they can get right back to the task at hand, taking down turrets. Outer one on the bottom side, Ryu should be able to deal with that himself, while everybody else going straight to the mid.
Very nicely played throughout this game by P1, really working off the second they're getting back in the lane, the second a teleport is up, playing that cross map and making sure Immortals cannot get back into the game. A hook onto Flame, is that the kill they even want? 4v1 in the backline as Meteos is able to control any more engage coming in from Immortals. And now they're going to take down this inhibitor turret. They've already dropped mid, and they're going to go around the horn if they don't just go for the Nexus.
Yeah, why wait? Inhibitor number 2 down. Baron buff still active, and Nexus turrets under fire at 25 minutes.
15-6. Dardoch looking to create pressure with the ultimate. Finds somebody on the back line. He hits Arrow. The Wild Growth is immediately there. That's what Stunt's been waiting for all game. Finger on the trigger, ready to save his AD carry. And P1 bringing out the Kalista composition, tanking it up, pulling out a very nice 25-minute game, and they'll take game 1 of the series over Immortals.
It just seems so effortless from the Phoenix1 squad there. As you can see, didn't even break a sweat. Really good collapse as far as predicting the invade, then warding appropriately.
Yeah.
All lanes coming over, and after that early game, single play. Pretty easy for them. Definitely a sobering first game here for Immortals, who were riding high off their recent resurgence.
Yeah. Definitely seems like there's things to consider for Immortals coming into this. The way that P1 was playing it, I was kind of saying everything happened by the second, but they had Immortals' number on the first plays. They left lane really late on that red play to not alert any of the Immortals members to say Dardoch is in the jungle. They made sure they could get there. All right, all collapse now. He's been there for a second. And then everything just kind of seemed to turn against Immortals, and they weren't even really trying much other than a few side lane ganks.
Yeah, there are a lot of things wrong with that early red play. I mean, not only did we see that exact play or very close to that play used against Dardoch just yesterday, but you have to be expecting it. You have to expect that your opponent is going to think, oh yeah, I'm Zach, I'm going to get low. Definitely there's a vulnerability there. Meteos has played a ton of the champion. In solo queue, it happens a lot where you get invaded like that. Ryu in the coordinated games gets to place a ward for his jungler. Yeah. Thank you very much. Everybody, all mid laners around the world, take note. Protect your jungle entrances when you have a weaker jungler there. And yeah, able to just collapse right onto Dardoch.
Also, nice guy Zig coming in early game. Flash for Ryu. Get that kill over onto Pobelter. A lot of little things in the early game here for P1 to take that win. Now for a deeper dive into that P1 win, let's check in with our analysts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, we are here to talk about the fact that Phoenix1 did take down Immortals in quick fashion here in game 1. Honestly, almost a speed run. And I want to talk about the fact that we're going to start with champ select, team comp, that all the words came together and became Tomp.
Yeah.
For team comp, I guess what it was, but you can talk about the fact that, hey, we see some Kalista here in North America.
I actually really like it. I think that Arrow played it pretty well as well. And it's a bit of a far cry from what he's normally known for, but it's super cool to see him on this champion that is now rising up. There was 2 bans thrown at him with the Ashe and the Kog'Maw, and it seems to be a little bit further down the tier list for him, but I think he looked all right.
Yeah, it was interesting that P1 decided to favor getting Meteos a pick with the Zac and matching the junglers there, so they'd rather risk getting the AD carry pool pinch than their jungler pool, which makes a lot of sense when you consider like Arrow's probably the best player on the team, potentially even in the region, and Meteos is someone with a bit of a weird champ pool. So it was smart draft by P1 to make sure that they secure their comfort champs for Meteos and just trust Arrow to be fine later.
Yeah, and so when you look at the Immortals composition, just jumping over to what they got the thing that we usually talk about as it's the dive composition. You have the Rengar and you have an Ahri, so you have 2 targets for the Shen ultimate to come through on, but we really didn't see a lot of those fights go their way at all. We saw them go the way of P1 because of early roams, early skirmishes, and then the team fights started going their way as well. So I feel like P1 kind of played around the composition that wants to have these skirmishes where the Shen comes in by kind of avoiding Dardoch early and putting him behind. I think that invade was really big at the start of the game.
Yeah, I think Dardoch definitely misplayed the invade. He destroys the blast cone. He needs to get out of the invade.
Showed off, though. It was pretty cool.
Like, okay, it looked cool, but like, the blast cone is how you get out of risky invades. I don't know why you kill it unless it was like a mistake and he's like, oh crap, I accidentally attacked this thing, but it was clearly silly.
Yeah, so I really don't like it for multiple reasons. The ward was there, of course. Also, he told us about that invade yesterday in his interview.
But he said with Maokai, he had Shen this time, so there's no way they're going to see it coming because it's a different champ in the top lane.
To be fair, everyone knows what level 3 invades look like, so it's not like he gave away suddenly the secret strategy. Let's talk about Meteos a little bit, though. Overall, I thought he played very well. I found it interesting. He pulled 2 bans. Okay, his champ pool is unique and special, and like people are gonna call it like a complaint and an issue for him, but like he's still working on his unique champion pool, pulling 2 bans, still coming out with an unkilled game.
And that's a huge amount of value placed onto Meteos. And you know, Nori's still on the bench, and you know he's raring to go and all of that. But Meteos is actually just not just on a winning team. He's part of the reason that they're winning these games right now. And drawing 2 bans, he's kind of like you put Meteos in, and the enemy has to pay a Meteos tax of an Elise and an Olaf ban. And he gets to play Zac, one of his comfort picks. That's still a win in my book.
Right, and I think, I mean, to be fair to Dardoch, he also had a very good early game. A lot of it was the fact that P1 works better as a team, so they talked about that Zig going mid early on, blow a flash trade at Meteos regank for the easy kill. Those types of things, obviously much more impactful in a Jayce Ahri matchup than the return kill that they gave up on the top side in a Shen Nautilus matchup. So obviously P1 plays around the rest of their team better, and there was a risk there at around 10 minutes. You can see it on the goal graph where P1's bot lane was losing, and they were risk getting smashed by Dardoch. Dardoch was 4-2 after that kind of invade got turned around on him, but after that he bounced back really well. He was almost able to kind of blow this game open for his team, but there was too many other things that P1 was doing well.
Yeah, and I think as this series goes on, you're going to see how much of a team P1 really is, because that's what's shining here for me over the Immortals squad, is they're collapsing faster. Zig is going for roams more often. They're also just kind of reinforcing each other faster on these skirmishes, like I said earlier. And that's what really stands out to me. Like, even everybody's on the same page when they're going to the Baron. Even top lane, when there's a Shen sitting in the bush, they both stop, Arrow and Stunt, and he's like, go check the bush, Stunt. Just go in there. Because he can. He'll pull him back with the Kalista ulti, right?
Totally
so
safe.
they're playing it correctly, and they're also playing around each other. And that's like, I wanted to go talk about Zig for a second, because I laud him as a very good top laner, but he's not a good top laner for the same reasons that really like crazy, shiny like, top laners are, the star top laners. He's not that carry. He's the guy who's blowing the flash mid lane for his own flash. He'll die for it later, but it's because it gives them a bigger advantage in a part of the map that's more important.
Right, and like you said, like when he plays as carry champions, it's not like he's going crazy on Fiora, 1v4 split push.
He's not taking the farm either.
He's playing GP and playing like, you know, smart global usage of his ultimate and getting poke off in team situations. It is a very different carry-oriented style, though he is playing DPS champions fairly often.
Right, he's playing frequently non-conventional tanks. This game, I believe he was on Nautilus against the Shen, so it wasn't exactly like he was carrying either way. But I want to bring up the fact that player of the game honor is going to go to Meteos for this one. I think well-deserved. Actually, 14 KDA, not 12, so he's improving his stats from the old days, of course, even on that trademark, Zach. But honestly, right, really good stuff from him. But as you guys are mentioning, a team-wide win overall. I want to bring up one last point, which is that bot lane once again. And it's multifaceted. On the one hand, it's Arrow going off his old comfort. He's back on things like Kalista, which I haven't seen him do for a while. And question one is this going to be weaker? Right? Does the metagame change? The pool of strong champions change? Does Arrow fall off? On the other hand, because again, he kind of lost lane, the Immortals duo has continued to win lane. Those guys are continuing to step up and be a real force, and that kind of conversation is what I want to bring up here.
This is an interesting one to me because of the way Immortals forced around the jungle champ pool. It made P1 have to take their jungle there and kind of leave Arrow a little bit out to dry, where he has to play the Kalista, and obviously it's not super strong in lane. He falls behind from it. I don't know if this is exploitable repeatedly, like if teams can start doing a strategy like this, because like you said, Arrow did lose that lane, and it's not a great, obviously, lane. There's a reason we don't see Kalista all the time. So this might be something of concern, but I think it was just well played by P1 because they were able to cover up for those deficiencies.
Yeah, when I was watching the lane early, there was a few Karma mantra Qs that hit Stunt and chunked him to about half HP. So I feel like it's not just Arrow losing the lane, right? It's a team thing. I feel like Stunt is also having to synergize a little bit more, even learn a little bit more about professional play and wave management at the start of the game. So I'm kind of like cheapening this and being like, you know, it's not Arrow's fault. It's Stunt's fault. Let's
blame the support.
Blame game. Let's
what a jungler!
Arrow's the best player in the league.
It's my laner's fault. I didn't do anything wrong. You'd make a great AD carry, buddy. Blame the supports, of course. Now, that's going to be it for us here. Game 2 of the series is going to begin soon for Immortals versus Phoenix1. It's coming up after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Esports.